How's it going? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to an episode of Chris Unscripted, a podcast where the mics come on and we just talk and we're just having a conversation. I'm your host, Chris Carter, and today we're going to get a little bit personal. A little bit. On today's episode, we're going to talk about my basketball journey. A basketball journey that was planted in Earth's core, that sprouted through Earth's crust, that bloomed into an oak tree on the east side of South Florida. All right. I got a little bit carried away, but let's get into it. Like for most people, you get introduced to sports at a pretty young age. And for me, I'll definitely tell you it was pretty early on. For one, the sport of football was the first sport to ever be introduced to me. There's a fun fact about me, my uncle and my grandfather both played in the National Football League. Yes, I got generational NFL players in my blood. It's that in my bloodline, I grew up tall and pretty stout. In the elementary school, I already knew that I was pretty much one of the taller kids, as I was taller than everybody in every class I've ever been, except for one. Shout out to Jake Pope. He's a giant. He was a giant back then and still a giant now, so shout out to him. But all in all, I was pretty much one of the tallest kids in the entire elementary school at the time of me going there. And with my sort of rapid growth growing up, my grandma, God rest her soul, but my grandmother tried to put me in a multitude of different sports. The first one was tennis, and let me tell you, tennis wasn't the best in terms of how I wanted to move. For some reason, I just couldn't cut right. Obviously, you're growing into your body, so you're just the mobility of how you want to move is definitely not up to par. So tennis wasn't it for me, and I definitely could have tried to get back into it later in life, but tennis at the time just wasn't for me. And she put me in tennis lessons and trainings, and I just wasn't messing with it. After that, she tried to put me into swimming. And don't get it twisted now, to this day, I am probably the fastest big boy swimmer you'll ever meet. But see, at the time, again, sports, I just couldn't get with the idea of playing any kind of sport. I just really was the type to just put a piece of paper on a table and start drawing pictures of whales and dolphins. Because at the time, that was just what I was into. And it wasn't even just my grandmother who was trying to put me into sports. Everybody around me, not just family, but friends especially, were like, oh, at lunchtime, Chris, let's play basketball. And I just wasn't into it. It wasn't a thing about, oh, I was like lazy and unathletic. No, I had full capability to do all these things. But for the most part, I think the motor and the heart to do these sports just wasn't there. I had friends in recreational leagues who wanted me to come to their games, and I would watch, and I just had no idea what was going on because it just wasn't my interest at the time. Shout out to Austin. I went to a few of his recreational games and saw that boy shooting threes and getting layups, but I had no idea what he was doing. Getting past awkwardly growing up in elementary school, now I'm awkwardly growing up in middle school just like everybody else. Let me paint this picture for you real quick. Imagine being 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, going to middle school in South Florida, where the Miami Heat got LeBron James, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, and you're not into any sports whatsoever. From 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you're completely oblivious to the amount of championships and winning and just the culture that they have going on at that very point in time. Just like every other kid in middle school, you're gonna try new things and put yourself in different avenues, kind of getting out of your comfort zone just a little bit. So knowing that I was over averagely taller than everybody else in middle school, I tried out for the basketball team 6th, 7th, and 8th grade year, knowing that I was never going to make the team because of how bad I was at playing basketball. And if you truly want me to dial in even more, 6th grade I was 5'8", 7th grade I was 5'10", 8th grade I was about 5'11", 6 foot on a good day. After tryouts, my 8th grade year, so obviously the next year I'm going to high school, I had touched rim for the first time. And I mean right after the tryouts, because I couldn't, so tryouts are pretty much in October down here in South Florida for middle school. And the season pretty much lasts from October to December. So right after about, we'll say early November, I had touched rim for the very first time. And just like any kid who touches rim for the first time, you're gonna try to start dunking. So just about November to when we get out of school in June, I'm trying my best to get my first dunk. And of course I didn't succeed, but I kept trying because, I'm about to go to high school the very next year, and that could be something that is starting to bloom in my soul, that maybe I could give basketball a try, seriously. Now, we're here in high school, where things are about to go down. Summer leading up to high school, I was at a summer camp, won't say the name, but I was at a summer camp that had a basketball hoop, and let's just say your boy was really trying to put some work in. Of course, when I say put the work in, I mean just being able to make a layup with someone on you, because automatically when you're taller, as a kid, you are pretty much put as a center. Nothing more, nothing less. Getting to high school and my PE class, never been in a high school gym up until that very, very point. Basketball courts, all these different people, all these different faces. So this is back when high school had 7 classes in a row. So you're only really in class for about 45 to 50 minutes every single day. The very first day in gym class, obviously, it's cool because I went to high school not too far from my middle school. So a lot of my middle school friends went to the same high school that I went to. So I had a couple guys in that class, and everyone talking about how they're going to try out for football and try out for soccer and all these different sports. And I'm like, yeah, I work on being able to play basketball this year, but I'm not even sure if I truly want to play. And I mean, first month of high school, I'm already getting teased by the upperclassmen about how I'm 6 foot and can't dunk. And I think they thought that I was older, because I don't think I ever truly told them how old I was, but I'm going to assume that they didn't know how old I was, and the fact that I'm 6 foot at the time and couldn't even dunk a basketball was pretty bad for them, because a lot of them were shorter, 100%. A lot of them were shorter than me, so they're probably like, how are you 6 foot and can't dunk? So just like in middle school, tryouts for basketball are in October, specifically, at least for the high school I went to, Halloween. October 31st was the first day of tryouts for my high school. And not the absolute best player, but I'm definitely better than what I was a year ago. Went to tryouts, would say that I had a pretty good tryout, because I knew what my role was, or how I was going to play if I made the team, was to make layups and get rebounds and block shots. Pretty much the most simple job you could possibly do. At least looking back into how I was supposed to play. Obviously, we'll get into how I am now a little later, but it was pretty simple back then. So I go into tryouts with my size 14 LeBrons and a shirt that's probably 2 sizes bigger than me, some tights and some pretty baggy shorts. So I'm looking like a player from N1 right now, trying to try out. At the very end of the tryout, you basically handpick who's gonna try out the next day, because it's 2 days of tryout. So long story short, I get picked up to try out the very next day. I had a pretty lackluster tryout. It really wasn't the best day for me. I feel like because I haven't physically moved that much up until that point. Because not only they have us doing drills, they have us doing sprints, all kinds of stuff. As a kid who didn't prioritize sports growing up, I had no idea what the art of conditioning was. Being able to have the stamina to play multiple games throughout multiple days, or even just playing a whole game in general. By that second day, I was pretty gassed, and you could assume what happened. I didn't meet the team my 9th grade year, which at first was kind of disheartening, because I think that was the first time where I truly wanted to put myself into a sport and felt disappointed. Remember how that felt? That pretty much lit a fire under me. So throughout 9th grade, I'm not only trying to improve my skill, but still trying to get my first dunk, of course, like any other tall kid would. And my grandmother ended up putting me into a recreational league that was pretty much from March to, I want to say, beginning of May. So not only did I have PE class, I had the recreational league where I was playing basketball about 2 times more than I did my entire life. Started playing in the rec league, started running more, started jumping more, started knowing what a team sport was and how basketball functions, learning more of the calls, because again, I was more of a raw, I wouldn't say prospect, but more of a raw player, just physically, athletically had the size that just couldn't play. So I had a pretty good recreational season, playing against kids who were my age. I would say a little bit around more my size, so just a little bit more experience for me. And it was pretty beneficial. On the very, very last day of high school, being bullied by upperclassmen about how I'm tall and can't dunk, I finally got my first dunk. A rim grazer by all means, but by definition of what a dunk is, I put the ball in the hoop with my hand over the rim. So by all means, yes, it was a dunk. Throughout that whole summer going into my sophomore year, for easier explanation, my second year of high school, I definitely started taking basketball just a little bit more seriously. And when I say a little bit more seriously, I think I put things in the overdrive. Because now with my new acquired skill of dunking, now with that, it turned me into a different player. Fast forward, it's October 31st again, and I think I'm a shoo-in to make the team this year. Because throughout that first day of tryouts, I missed every single dunk I attempted. But you get the oohs and the ahs from all the other kids who are trying out, and it made me keep going. I'm a little bit more conditioned at that point, so I didn't gas out. I pretty much did everything I did the year before, but at a way better level. I was able to get up and down the court. I was able to do everything that I needed and wanted to do. Made it past first cuts. I went to that next day. They said we'll leave on the very next morning after tryouts. They're gonna put a piece of paper on the gym door that has your name on it and says that you made the team. And that anticipation of really, really wanting your name to be on that list is crazy. I couldn't sleep the night before, and I thought that, I had made it. So, not really sleeping the night before, ate a little bowl of cereal, got on the bus, got my music going in my headphones. I run straight to the gym door as soon as I touch down in school. Go up to that list, and there was my name. The amount of excitement that I felt that day definitely turned everything around. Of who I was or who I thought I was, everything it was different. At the time, I had like a little Android phone, so whenever I had the chance, I think it was during lunch, I called my mom and my grandma to let them know that I had made the basketball team. And from that point on, basically to shorten everything, I was able to meet a lot of different people, get in connection with a lot of different people, make some friends. I still talk to some of my coaches from, that era of time, from recreational to travel basketball to high school. All in all, 10th grade to senior year, I played for the same high school. Now, would I say that I got the amount of minutes that I wanted to get? No, but, I won't make this podcast longer than it already is. And after high school, there was a few bumps in the roads. As pretty much as soon as I graduated, there was COVID-19 for those who were there during that era of time. So I pretty much put a backseat on basketball up on, I want to say, it was a little while. And I ended up getting in contact with a coach from a school that's not too far from me. Not the same area, but not too far from me either, about playing college basketball. And to speed this up now, I'm a college basketball player now. I play for United International College in Dania, Florida, where I am a proud student athlete. And to see how everything started from just growing up and being told to do certain things and not really having the heart for it, but having it grow organically was probably one of the most beneficial things that could happen to me. And before I end this episode, I just wanted to put a message out that if you truly want to do something and you have some type of fire in your heart that you can do it, go for it, because you never know where that can get you. I grew up with everybody telling me to play football or trying these different sports, and it just wasn't working for me. And finally, just finding something to be passionate about was, it's a lot. All in all, just always believe in yourself, because no one is ever going to believe in you more than yourself. So, to be where I'm at and how life is going for me right now, all because I finally decided to pick up that orange basketball. It's pretty cool. It's amazing. So for those who got this far, I want to say thank you for listening. My name is Chris Carter. This is Chris Unscripted, and I'll see you next Wednesday.